Florida's property insurance market has been in crisis for years. Companies were going bankrupt, premiums were skyrocketing, and homeowners were left paying the highest rates in the entire country. So in late 2022, lawmakers passed Senate Bill 2A, a major insurance reform package. They promised this law would fix the system, cut down on lawsuits, and make insurance affordable again. But here's the big question. Did it actually work? Today, we're going to dive into what really happened, who actually benefited, and why Florida insurance market is still fragile. So stick with me, because if you own a home in Florida or you're thinking about buying one, this affects you directly. Why did the reforms need to happen in the first place? So back in 2022, Florida made up 70% of all homeowners insurance lawsuits in the United States, even though Florida only had 15% of the total claims. That's insane. Insurance companies obviously said they couldn't handle the costs, and many left Florida, or they just flat out went bankrupt. Citizens Insurance, the state-run insurer of last resort, obviously ballooned as more families had no private option. Lawmakers said frivolous lawsuits were the main problem, and cutting down legal battles would stabilize the system. Tell me what you think. Do you think the lawsuits were really the main problem, or just a convenient scapegoat? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. So what changed under Senate Bill 2A? First is attorney's fees. For years, Florida law said that if a homeowner took their insurance company to court and won, even if they won just $1 more than what the insurer had offered, the insurance company had to pay the homeowner's attorney's fees. Now, that's no longer the case, according to the article. The new law got rid of this rule for both residential and commercial property insurance. Now, each side has to cover its own legal costs. So why the change? Lawmakers wanted to cut down on certain types of lawsuits and push both sides towards settling earlier instead of dragging things through the courts. Another big shift was how attorneys' fees are calculated. The law now says the lodestar method, basically multiplying a reasonable hourly rate by the number of hours worked, is considered fair and sufficient. This makes it much harder for lawyers to argue for extra fees using multipliers. Most experts agreed that this was the biggest change in the reform package. Next, it addressed assignments of benefits. So contractors used to handle claims and even sue for homeowners, which probably led to some of the fraud that was going on. Remember, this whole change is to help prevent fraud and help slow down putting litigation into the legal system. So assignment of benefits is no longer allowed, according to the article. Now, there's some stipulations, so just make sure you check with your insurance company, and if you have any issues, please contact a lawyer. There's also shorter deadlines. Homeowners have less time to file claims, and insurers have less time to respond. So I think that's a really good one, but just remember, don't wait if you have a claim. You don't want to miss that window, but not even by 1 day. Citizens Insurance, remember the state's insurer of last resorts, rules changed also. So Citizens rates were made non-competitive to push more people back into the private carriers. Some of our roof rules have changed as well. Insurers can't deny coverage for older roofs if they pass an inspection, but roof deductibles are now allowed. So this is part of that 4-point and wind mitigation inspection that we've talked about in the past, where insurers are really looking for that 5 years of life left on your roof. Now, I've done some deals where the roofs didn't quite have 5 years, and there are some potential areas where you could still get insurance, but that's definitely a question for your insurance provider. So how did insurers benefit from this? In 2024, insurers turned a profit for the first time in 8 years. And according to the article, it was over $200 million. At least 15 new companies entered Florida, which is fantastic, and boosted competition. Citizens insurance finally started shrinking instead of growing. Some insurers reportedly even filed for small rate decreases for the first time in years. Let me know if you were one of those people who actually got a decrease in your rates. So from the industry's point of view, this was a huge win. Profits were back. New carriers are here in the state, and on paper, the market looks healthier. So how were homeowners affected? Premiums are still the highest in the nation, ranging from $5,000 to $11,000 per year. Obviously, that's going to be dependent on the home and the types of things you're insuring. But in 2024, insurers denied almost half of all claims. According to the article, it was 46.7%, which was the highest in nearly a decade. Now, that was in 2024. Not that it's a good thing that insurance companies were denying claims, but I wonder if the storms that we had here in Florida in 2024 really changed that statistic to make it look that high. Just some food for thought. So despite the law's goal of reducing lawsuits per denied claim actually went up. Why? Because now people only sue when the losses are big enough to justify the cost. Remember, you pay your attorney's fees and the insurance company pays their attorney's fees. Now, without assignment of benefits, homeowners have to handle the claim process themselves, filing paperwork, potentially negotiating, and sometimes paying up front before reimbursement. So imagine your roof gets torn up in a storm. Before a contractor could step in and handle the entire process with your insurer, now you're on your own, navigating potential legal terms, paperwork, and often fighting with the insurance company, according to the article and some of these reports that I did during the research for this video. So this could make things a little bit more difficult, and I don't think that was the intended outcome of this bill. So Florida insurers, the insurance companies themselves, rely heavily on global reinsurance markets. Now, reinsurance means insurance for the insurance company, and it's about 5 times more than the national average for us here in Florida. That means one bad hurricane season could spike costs again, no matter what reforms are put in place. Insurance costs are already reshaping real estate. I mean, that's no secret, right? Buyers are tending to prefer new homes, according to one study, and those are built after 2002 because they had stricter codes. Now, there are some things that you can do if you have an older home or you don't have all of the credits. Let me know if you want a video on some things that you could do to drop your insurance rates and save money here in the Florida market. Believe it or not, in some markets, insurance costs are now over 2% of a home's value. Something experts are saying it's not sustainable. And I agree with them. That is not sustainable. Insurance has become a very front of mind thought when purchasing a house. So moving forward, lawmakers have recognized this, and they're already debating some new changes, such as adjusting the attorney fee rules again. The My Safe Florida Home program, it's definitely grossly underfunded. We ran out of money in 2024 in less than a month. My Safe Florida Home program, in a nutshell, is a grant program to harden your house. So for instance, if you were getting hurricane windows, upgrading maybe your doors, roof, hurricane clips, there's various things that you can qualify for. It is dollar for dollar, up to $10,000 they'll match for any of those upgrades. This is a good program, and hopefully it'll last a little bit longer this year. I haven't checked as of this recording to see if we've run out of money, but I do know that it is back up and running as of July. Now, other coastal states such as Louisiana and Texas are actually watching Florida closely because they're dealing with similar problems. So we're not alone here. There's a lot of these coastal hurricane-prone areas that are dealing with the same things that we are. The lesson here is that you can't just tackle lawsuits, and paperwork. The real issues are climate risk, construction costs, and reinsurance, and many other things, really. And unless those are addressed, premiums are going to stay high. The 2022 reforms helped stabilize the insurance companies, but they also shifted more responsibility onto you as homeowners. Carriers are profitable, which is a good thing. We do want that. These companies, we don't want them to go out of business because then that'll drive costs back up again. But families are paying record premiums and fighting more denials and facing a system that is still, to be quite frank, is fragile. Florida's insurance market isn't collapsing anymore, but it's certainly not secure either. My advice is if you're buying a home here in Florida, don't think about insurance later. Get insurance early. Call and get those quotes the second that you go under contract. Don't wait to get a surprise 2 weeks before closing. Do it in that first couple of days. I know it's crazy hectic in day 1, 2, 3 of a contract, but it's really important to get those quotes rolling and at least have an idea. You can shop later. At least get one good solid quote from a reputable Florida insurance company, so you know what you're dealing with. I hope this video helped you out a little bit to understand what's going on with Florida's insurance. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.